Real quick before the video starts, I have a new channel based around green tech stories on 4chan, and I'll be uploading videos daily over there. If you're interested, I'll leave a link to the channel in the description. Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael, and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a deleted user in the AITA subreddit. The post is titled, "I didn't tell my roommates and sisters that I am the owner. I, a 33-year-old woman, bought my home right before the pandemic. The world shut down and I immersed myself in remote work, enjoying the solitude and comfort of being a natural introvert. The house was extra large and I could only really afford it because the family selling needed a quick sale. It has a finished attic and basement which were easily converted into small apartments. The basement has its own entry point and also connects to the main house. There are 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and the master bedroom has a walk-in closet. During the pandemic, my sisters were both hit hard and quickly needed to downsize as their own roommates moved back home. My sisters, aged 25 and 27, and I did not have such a luxury, so I offered them rooms at below market rate and told them they needed to supply their own food. The rent was really to help with an increase in bills. They were both still in school at the time, but also working. This arrangement gave them more financial breathing room. Then, a girl they both knew was evicted from her home with her boyfriend because the family they rented from needed the home back. I offered the basement at near market rate, though still a little under, as I felt bad and it is a basement apartment. After that, a friend of a friend heard about my arrangement and asked if there was any room left. I gave him the attic apartment for another near market rent. Rental agreements were drafted for each person. I explained the basic rules, the rent, and how long they would have if rent was not received. I told them to read it and return it to me when signed. I left each of them with their own copy. I collect the rent the first Saturday of the month. They leave the name blank on the checks for me to fill out, and I always thought it was because they were afraid of misspelling my stupidly unique name and having the check bounce as a result. Apparently not. The issue, I still have one free room in the main part of the house, but I use it as my office and it locks up. My friend knows my sisters and they got to chatting while out together. They bumped into each other during a day out. My sisters mentioned the extra room and my friend has a cousin, 18 years old, who will be starting college in our city and asked if my landlord would rent it to her. I brushed over the comment because I thought there was a miscommunication and told her the room was not for rent as I use it as my home office. She asked if I was paying for the room and I told her why would I pay for a room in a house I own. She got a little quiet, apologized for pushing, and told me the struggle it has been to find a spot for her cousin. I told her all of my tenants are solid until December when renewals go out. I can offer her a spot if someone moves, but I stressed it was unlikely as everyone gets along, stays out of each other's business, and it works well for them. We dropped the topic. A few days ago, my sisters asked me how the talk went, and I said it was okay, but her cousin will not be moving in. They asked why, and I explained the situation above. They suggested I move my office to my bedroom or the main room and stop paying rent for an extra room to save costs. When I asked what they meant, they said, "Well, you do pay rent for the extra space, right?" No. I then asked if they knew I was the landlord and they were floored. They had never actually read the agreements they had been signing. They went off on me about how I should have told them and that they should not have to pay rent to family. I told them the rent was to cover their increased bills. I was not going to house them for free when they made enough to cover a fair share of shared expenses. If they would rather pay full market rent on the rooms they were currently in, I could arrange that come renewal. By now, they could afford it with their jobs and having saved money on rent for 5 years. They called me an asshole for holding rent over their heads. This then leaked to the tenants as they talked about the issue to their friends in the basement. While their rent is more than just for bills, it is not the market rent value I could get for the space despite each of them having income and no family to support. They came to me to ask that I lower the rent, as if being friends with my sisters was reason enough since I was the landlord and not somebody they did not actually know. The deal they had no longer seems in their favor apparently. I told them they had until December to decide if they wanted a renewal because it was not going to be lowered. They are now acting like I am kicking them out, when all I said was that now they fully understand their position and needed to make a choice to stay with current costs and annual adjustments as needed, as was our agreement, or begin the process of looking, as rent prices have skyrocketed and it is much harder to find a place. The adjustments do not include knowing I am the landlord. My attic tenant asked if I was cleaning house and basically begged me not to kick him out. His family turned their back on him because of conflicting views. Personally, his views don't bother me. His family's, though, are difficult. I explained everything in detail and he was like, "Wait, I always knew you were my landlord because it is in the rental agreement." But he also never put my name down because it is hard to spell. Now everyone is upset with me and I feel unwelcome in my own home. Am I the asshole? Would I be the asshole if I did not renew one or all of their leases because of this hostility I feel? Edit, quick edit, since I keep seeing a similar question. Our lives have been a mess of social services and foster care as children, all aging out at 18. I did not go out of my way to tell them about my buying a house partly out of guilt, and they came to me for leads on places to live in a time of need. The guilt comes from not taking them in when I had the opportunity at 18. I would have had to jump through massive hoops, and I did not feel prepared to care for myself, let alone another couple of kids I hardly knew, since we had been separated often. We reconnected when they aged out and built from there. We also do not share the same last name as we each have different fathers. Update. I wanted to thank everybody for taking the time to read my last post and offer their advice, comments, thoughts, and judgment. I took some of the advice given and have taken the "don't rent to family or friends again" to heart. So I am going to jump into the update. I will try to break it down bit by bit before going into it all. Mr. Attic, I'm keeping him. I pulled him aside first and separately. I told him I would not be renewing the others' leases in December and asked if he would want to rent the basement at market value. He turned it down, asking to keep the attic as he is comfortable there. I told him it would probably be in his best interest to let the others believe this is a whole house cleanout so he does not get caught in the crossfire. He agreed and went out of his way to turn his social media to private. He also sent me screenshots of a group chat he had been added to. The group chat, my sisters and the other pair of tenants started up a group chat to complain about me being so uncompromising and greedy. They were coming up with ideas to not pay rent or only pay part of it. The basement tenants joked about one of them losing their jobs so they could ask for leniency since I was too stuck up to be kind about the rent. The harassment, my sisters and the basement tenants had told their friends about the rent, the lies, and my inability to consider outside perspective and need. I've had a steady stream of calls, direct messages, texts, and posts directed at me since before I made my last post, which is what prompted me to post. I made my accounts private, disabled some of the messaging functions, and told the four of them to get this to stop before I got my lawyer involved. Spoiler, they did not. After taking a night to think about it, I brought the group together to have a discussion about the rent and situation. My sisters looked smug and the basement tenants kept sharing knowing looks. I told them bluntly I was not going to renew leases in December because their actions, attitudes, and lack of consideration have made me feel unvalued, humiliated by their family, and unwelcome in my own home. I told them if they found an apartment or place to go before December, I would not charge them for breaking the lease, but if there was any damage anywhere, they would not get their security deposits back until the pricing was settled. If there was more damage than their security deposit, they would be taken to court. I told them I was done being kind and understanding to people who thought so lowly of me. I also warned them I could and would break the leases myself if I felt the need, in which case they would have 30 days. It was immediate chaos. A lot of yelling, insults, and cursing. Even Mr. Attic was upset, but he was yelling at the others for getting him kicked out when he didn't do anything. He made a dramatic show of storming up to the attic and slamming the door. He sent me laughing emojis and texted that he was not going to be able to keep a straight face a little later. I waited for them to stop yelling, and when they demanded to know what to do, I set a stack of ads for apartments and houses for rent in the nearby area and told them they would have to start looking now. I told my sisters I would help pay for their moving truck, but told the basement tenants they would have to ask their families for help moving out. One of the basement tenants picked up the stack of papers, his eyes went wide, and he stared at me, asking if I was serious. I told him the prices listed were not mine to judge, change, or deal with. I reminded him his current place was below market because I had a say in it. Market prices for one-bedrooms in the area are well over $1,500 a month if he wants to live near his work and close enough to walk to stores and amenities. He currently has a 2-bedroom for less than that. My sisters grabbed some of the papers, and the older one started crying because she could not afford an apartment on her own. She told me about her student loans and credit card debt. I told her, too bad. I gave you a good deal out of kindness and you sent an army after me. I would have considered letting you stay if you had not been so nasty. I told all of them they could probably swing a 2-bedroom between the 4 of them and then got up and left. They refused to talk to me now. My sister spent the night in the basement apartment and I could hear shrieks and crying if I walked by the door that leads down there. I feel a little bad, but I reread your comments to keep my sanity. As for whether I want them out, I can give them 30 days notice since they are inside my own home. I checked and double checked with the lawyer and this information was in their rental contracts. If I do have to evict them and they try to refuse to leave and drag it out in court, which they do not have the money for, I have been given some handy advice from a fellow landlord who had to remove his own brother. I cannot remove them by force, but I can make living there entirely uncomfortable. Nothing stops me from taking doors off hinges or starting remodeling while their stuff is in the way. Nothing stops me from turning off the water or electricity for their sections of the house during remodeling. It might seem like an asshole thing to do, but they would be the ones to start it, and I actually do want to repaint and make some adjustments. The reason I am leaning toward evicting them by August is because the harassment has gotten so much worse now that there is an actual non-renewal happening. I am leaving my phone on silent and collecting messages, voicemails, emails, and other things to hand off to my lawyer next week. I told them to call off their dogs and they have not. I asked Mr. Attic if he knew anyone who would need a place and to let me know. He has a few friends from his community who seem interested as they either live with roommates or family and want out. If anyone has any questions this quiet morning, I will try to answer them. Quick edit. I have cameras outside and in common rooms, facing the front and back doors, the hallways upstairs, and the door leading to the basement. The tenants have access to the entry point cameras. Mr. Attic has the hallway to his area, the basement tenants have the feed that leads to their door inside the main house, and they all have outside camera access. I am thinking of cutting access to the outside cameras for them. They cannot do anything to the feeds as they are guests in the system, and my access automatically saves footage on extra external systems. I might just cut them all out of the system except for Mr. Attic for a peace of mind. Also, I keep seeing people ask about our family. There are no parents and no family from our side. My sisters have no relationships with their fathers or their families. Mine had been killed due to his own actions and his family shunned him, so they shunned me as well. Our mother is a cup of ash left at the funeral home. Update 2. Hey everyone, I am very tired. Thank you all for your kind words and wonderful advice. On to the update. Mr. Attic's friends, 2 have agreed to take the bedrooms my sisters are currently occupying when they move out. I have met them, we talked at length, and they are wonderful people. One helped me change the tire on my car because I ended up with a flat just after our meeting, and she was incredibly kind, walking me through the process step by step, letting me do it but explaining how. I cannot believe I have never changed a tire before. Weirdly embarrassing. The harassment and the lawyer sent a cease and desist to everyone who had contacted me. Then he filed for restraining orders and a claim for slander and defamation. There were many posts with me tagged or with my name claiming I was an unfit landlord, a slumlord, a greedy woman, a homewrecker, and more. These things take time, but there was an almost immediate drop-off of calls, messages, and so on. The basement tenants have been served their notice. They helped to spread lies and deception. They have ceased all communication with me, but they only have 30 days, and I have posted notes on their porch reminding them every day how long they have. I have seen them start taking smaller things out today, which is what prompted this update. Mrs. Basement can be heard crying a lot if I stand by the top of the stairs. I think they might be moving back in with family, which is what they had been avoiding by moving into my basement. Her mother is toxic, her father has a new wife who hates her, and Mr. Basement's family dislikes her enough to outright ignore her or tell it to her face that she is not family, especially because she will not give her boyfriend a family. Spoiler, she cannot have kids due to medical reasons, and they are not even married. Group chat, I have screenshots of their group chat, courtesy of Mr. Attic, and there is a lot of evidence of them feeding lies to others, talking about how they told this person this or that person that. Mr. Basement made the claim that I came onto him and his girlfriend went nuts. I think she does not know he lied about it, just to make it more believable to others. When he first made the claim, she blew up my phone and social media before dragging it to others. My sisters weren't surprised by my behavior. That stung. I have never done anything like that in the past. My sisters, they also have their notices. The younger one is already moving in with a couple of friends who think I am nonsense. They come every so often to help her move things, and they send me nasty looks or make loud, intentional comments for me to hear. She has been dumping my food into the trash and pouring it down the sink. I just got a mini fridge for my room and she spends nights screaming at my locked door. I take my work to a local cafe, or rather multiple cafes, or the library now because she will just shriek anytime she thinks I am working. I vary the locations and do not go to the same place twice in a row. The older sister has turned to begging me to let her stay because she cannot afford to live on her own, and she has no one willing to take her in. Her boyfriend, I did not even know she had one, broke up with her when he got the cease and desist from the lawyer. He was one of the people causing problems, but once the lawyer stepped in, he bounced. According to Mr. Attic, he heard her telling someone something along the lines of he could move in if he helped her get me to leave or back down because it is family property. She had been taking a call outside, and I caught proof on camera because he told me when and where to look for it. Quick edit. My sisters are not moving in together because they each blame each other. They also blame the basement tenants, while the basement tenants blame my sisters. They all collectively blame me as well since I am pure evil, but they think each of them pushed me to do it. Cameras. Only Mr. Attic still has access. The cameras were not part of the rental agreement, and everyone lost their minds when I took away access. They tried covering or adjusting them, but I warned them they would be held liable for damages and anything else I could claim if they did that again. Now I get middle fingers and aggressive stares into the cameras. I am sure I am missing things. I just cannot sleep and I am swamped with getting them out, work, trying to fill their places, and getting the basement redone before it goes back on the market. The Silky Bat said, "Talk about biting the hand that feeds you. What a bunch of idiots." Relentless Dandelion said, "Well, that was a lot. Who in hell starts trouble with their landlord without even glancing at the price of other rentals?" To this comment, user Aria Cannot Sing said, "Someone who is so entitled and arrogant, they think their sibling would never actually evict them." Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, Gamersupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.